Officials say that the suspect worked very closely with the CIA in Afghanistan for years, that he was vetted, and the vetting came up clean.
He went cuckoo. I mean, he went nuts. And that happens, too. It happens.
The interview begins with a tense exchange. A reporter asks the president about the tragic shooting in Washington. D.C. officials confirm the suspect had worked closely with the CIA in Afghanistan for years and had passed all government vetting. The president dismisses that explanation, saying the suspect went cuckoo, insisting that this happens too often, and blaming what he calls a broken immigration process. He claims thousands of unvetted individuals were brought into the U.S. and says many shouldn't be here. When the reporter counters by citing the DOJ's own statement that DHS and the FBI thoroughly vetted the Afghan arrivals, the president snaps back, calling the reporter stupid.
Why do you blame the Biden administration?
Because they let him in. Are you stupid? Are you a stupid person? Because they came in on a plane.
Repeating that the Biden administration allowed dangerous people to enter and describing the evacuation flights as disgraceful. He says a law passed at the time made it almost impossible to prevent these individuals from coming in or remove them afterward. According to him, Afghanistan's fall was a preventable disaster, and under his leadership, he claims the withdrawal would have been strong, dignified, and precise. The interview turns to the victims. A reporter asks whether the president has spoken with the family of Sarah and Andrew. He explains that his team has already reached out, and he plans to speak with them personally later that evening. He emphasizes that the family needs time, saying they just found out about their daughter and that calling immediately would have been inappropriate.
Safest place imaginable, and this is a different kind of crime. This is a really bad crime. Millions of Americans are praying for those heroes and their families, and I must unfortunately tell you that just...
When asked if he plans to attend Sarah's funeral, the president says he hasn't considered it yet, but it is something he could conceive of, highlighting his strong political support in West Virginia and his affection for the state. The questioning then shifts to the suspect's family, a wife and 5 children who live in Washington. The president confirms officials are looking at the whole situation, suggesting possible action but offering no specifics. Next, a reporter asks whether he plans to change safety protocols for National Guardsmen deployed to cities. The president says no, except that he wants more Guard presence. He notes that Washington experienced record-setting low crime in recent months, but frames the shooting as a terrorism-related incident rather than typical crime. He implies the suspect may have been motivated by frustration with the National Guard's effectiveness. A reporter presses the president on whether he blames all Afghans for this attack. He responds by returning to the scenes of the evacuation flights. Planes swamped, with people, no proper checks, no proper vetting. He claims many who arrived were criminals or people who shouldn't be here, though he also acknowledges that many are wonderful. The reporter reminds him that many Afghans in the U.S. are here legally and asks what they should think now. The president says they can't be happy. Then shifts to Somalia, claiming Somali communities in Minnesota are causing major problems. He criticizes Minnesota's governor harshly and attacks Congresswoman Ilhan Omar, accusing her of complaining about the country, despite coming from a place he describes as devastated and crime-ridden. He declares the U.S. will not be taking their people anymore and says many already here are being taken out because they are nothing but trouble. A reporter challenges him directly, asking what Somalians have to do with an Afghan man who shot a National Guardsman. The president answers, nothing. But he continues by insisting they have caused the U.S. a lot of trouble and are sending large amounts of money back to Somalia, questioning why the U.S. is providing foreign aid there at all. He ends the exchange sharply, we're not taking their people, we're getting a lot of their people out. As the questions continue, a final reporter steps forward with a critical challenge. Was the Afghan suspect actually granted asylum under the president's own administration? The room tightens. The president insists that once these individuals are flown in, it's very hard to get them out, regardless of who approved their status. He repeats that his team will now be getting them all out, but doesn't directly answer whether the suspect's asylum was granted on his watch. Before the press can push further, staffers begin ushering reporters away. The president hands out a photo, snaps a quick remark about making America great again, and tries to bring the event to a close. But not everyone is satisfied as he turns to leave. One reporter shouts a final question, a question that stops several officials in their tracks. Mr. President, are you aware of the internal memo circulating inside DHS, the one suggesting this suspect was flagged before he ever boarded a U.S.-bound plane? The president freezes for half a second, eyes tightening. His staff immediately moves, cutting off the question and pushing the press back. No answer, no explanation. And behind the cameras inside Washington security agencies, officials are whispering. Because if that memo is real, if that warning existed, then the biggest question of all still hasn't been answered. Who allowed him in? And why was the warning ignored? Tensions rise, a political firestorm brews, and the truth, whatever it is, hasn't surfaced yet. To be continued.